The invasion begins. The skies over New Manhattan blazed with unnatural light as the Xeraxian ships descended through the atmosphere. Their sleek, crystalline hulls refracted the setting sun into dazzling prisms that captivated onlookers below. For a brief moment, humanity gazed in awe at what they thought was first contact. They couldn't have been more wrong. Captain Sarah Chen of the NYPD stood on the roof of one police plaza, her dark eyes narrowed as she tracked the largest vessel's approach. An icy knot formed in her stomach. Something about the ship's formation struck her as distinctly aggressive. "This is all kinds of wrong," she muttered into her comm unit. "Tell the mayor we need to initiate emergency protocols now." Before her order could be relayed, searing beams of energy lanced out from the alien ships. In an instant, the city's power grid went dark. Panicked screams rose from the streets as New Manhattan plunged into chaos. Sarah's training kicked in. "All units, this is Captain Chen. We are under attack. I repeat, we are under attack. Initiate evacuation procedures and prepare to engage hostile forces." As she barked orders, Sarah's mind raced. Who were these aliens? What did they want? And how in God's name were they supposed to fight back? The next hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Sarah coordinated with what remained of the city's leadership, desperately trying to maintain order as the alien invaders methodically expanded their control. It quickly became clear this was no mere raid or show of force. The Xeraxians were here to stay. By dawn, an eerie calm had settled over New Manhattan. The initial violence gave way to something far more insidious, the systematic subjugation of Earth's greatest city. Sarah found herself in an emergency command center hastily established in an old Cold War bunker. She stared at tactical displays, showing the aliens' relentless advance, not just in New York, but in major cities worldwide. "They're not just conquering us," she realized aloud. "They're setting up shop, like some kind of interstellar mafia." A grizzled general nodded grimly. "Intelligence suggests you're right on the money, Captain. These Xeraxians appear to be a criminal syndicate. Earth is just their latest territory grab." Sarah's fists clenched. "So what's the plan? We can't just roll over for these thugs." The general's expression hardened. "Plan? The plan is survival, Captain. For now, we play along. Gather intel. Wait for an opportunity." "Sir, with all due respect." "That's an order, Chen. Stand down and wait for further instructions." Sarah bit back her retort, seething inwardly. As she left the command center, her resolve crystallized. She'd follow orders, for now. But there was no way in hell she was going to sit idly by while aliens turned her home into their personal fiefdom. Over the next weeks, Sarah watched helplessly as the Xeraxians consolidated their power. Their technology was decades, perhaps centuries beyond Earth's. Resistance seemed futile, yet pockets of defiance persisted. The aliens responded to these isolated uprisings with calculated brutality. Public executions became commonplace. Entire neighborhoods were vaporized as examples. Fear became the Xeraxians' most potent weapon. Sarah played her role, ostensibly cooperating with the new alien overlords while secretly gathering whatever intel she could. She learned the name of the Xeraxian leader, a ruthless crime lord called Thorek the Merciless. His cruelty was legendary even among his own kind. 1 month after the invasion, Sarah received a coded message that chilled her to her core. Her parents, retired school teachers living in suburban New Jersey, had been among Thorek's latest victims, executed for the crime of teaching human history in defiance of Xeraxian educational edicts. As Sarah stared at the message, something inside her snapped. The carefully constructed facade of compliance crumbled away. In its place arose a cold, implacable fury. She activated a secure channel to contacts she quietly cultivated since the invasion. Other humans who refused to accept alien rule. Her voice was steel as she delivered a simple message. "It's time. Assemble the team. We're taking our planet back." Across the occupied Earth, a spark of resistance flickered to life. Humanity's fightback was about to begin. A hero emerges. The underground bunker was a hive of furtive activity as Sarah Chen surveyed her ragtag group of resistors. Former cops, ex-military, and ordinary citizens pushed to extraordinary lengths. They were an unlikely bunch, but they were all she had. "Listen up," Sarah called, her voice cutting through the low murmur of conversation. "We've all lost something to these alien bastards. Family, friends, our very way of life. But tonight, we start taking it back." She activated a holographic display, showing a detailed map of New Manhattan. "Our target is this Zyraxian supply depot. Intel suggests it's lightly guarded. We hit it fast, we hit it hard, and we disappear with whatever tech we can carry." A grizzled ex-Marine named Jackson raised his hand. "With all due respect, Captain, how do you expect us to take on even a lightly guarded alien facility? Their tech is light years beyond ours." Sarah's eyes glinted with determination. "Because we have something they don't, Jackson. We have nothing left to lose." As the team geared up for the mission, Sarah's mind drifted to her parents. Mild-mannered teachers who'd never hurt anyone, gunned down for the crime of preserving human culture. The familiar surge of rage threatened to overwhelm her, but she pushed it down. She'd need a clear head for what was to come. The raid on the Zyraxian depot was a blur of plasma fire and screaming alarms. Sarah's team moved with precision born of desperation, overwhelming the alien guards before they could mount an effective defense. Within minutes, they were racing away in stolen Zyraxian skimmers, laden with pilfered alien technology. Back at the bunker, the mood was electric. They'd bloodied the Zyraxian's nose and lived to tell about it. As her team pored over their stolen prizes, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. It was a start. Over the next weeks, Sarah's resistance cell grew bolder. Hit-and-run attacks on Zyraxian patrols. Sabotage of alien communication relays. Each small victory bolstered their confidence and swelled their ranks with new recruits. But Sarah knew they were still just nipping at the heels of a galactic juggernaut. They needed a game-changer. That game-changer arrived in the form of Dr. Eliza Wong, a brilliant cynobiologist who'd been working in secret to unravel the mysteries of Zyraxian physiology. "I've made a breakthrough," Eliza announced breathlessly, laying out a series of complex diagrams. The Zyraxians' enhanced abilities, their strength, their healing factor, it all comes from a symbiotic organism in their bloodstream, and I think I've found a way to disrupt it. Sarah leaned forward, hope kindling in her chest. "What are you saying, Doctor?" Eliza's eyes shone with excitement. "I'm saying we might have a way to level the playing field, to make them as vulnerable as us." For the first time since the invasion, Sarah dared to believe they might have a real chance. But their fledgling hope was nearly snuffed out when Thorek, the Merciless, launched a savage crackdown. Whole sections of the city were put to the torch. Thousands of humans were rounded up and publicly executed. Sarah watched in horror as the screams of the dying echoed through the streets. Her fists clenched so tight her nails drew blood from her palms. "This ends now," she growled. In the dead of night, Sarah convened an emergency meeting of resistance leaders from across the globe. The faces on the encrypted video feeds were grim, but determined. "We can't wait any longer," Sarah declared. "Dr. Wong's breakthrough gives us a fighting chance. It's time to take the fight to Thorek himself." A chorus of agreement met her words. Plans were quickly hatched, resources pooled, operatives activated. As the meeting concluded, Sarah found herself alone in the command center. She called up an old family photo on her datapad, her parents smiling at her graduation from the police academy. Tears stung her eyes as she traced their faces with a trembling finger. "I'll make this right," she whispered. "I promise." The next day, as Sarah briefed her strike team on their daring plan to infiltrate Thorek's heavily fortified citadel, an urgent message came through. A Zyraxian patrol had discovered one of their safe houses. Even now, alien shock troops were moving to surround them. Sarah's jaw set in a hard line. "All right, people, change of plans. Looks like our timetable just got moved up. We go now, ready or not. As her team scrambled to mobilize, Sarah allowed herself one last moment of doubt. Were they really ready for this? Could they hope to stand against the full might of the Zeraxian war machine? But as she looked into the determined faces of her comrades, humans pushed to the brink, yet unbowed, she knew the answer. Win or lose, they would show these alien invaders exactly what humanity was made of. Sarah Chen, once a simple police captain, now the linchpin of Earth's resistance, squared her shoulders and grabbed her weapon. Let's go remind these alien bastards whose planet they're on. Building resistance. The skimmer raced through the ruined streets of New Manhattan, its stealth systems training to keep it hidden from Zeraxian patrols. Sarah Chen gripped the controls, her knuckles white, as she pushed the stolen alien craft to its limits. In the back, Dr. Eliza Wong worked feverishly to stabilize a wounded resistance fighter. The rest of Sarah's team sat in tense silence, still processing their narrow escape from the compromised safe house. "We're approaching the rendezvous point," Sarah announced, bringing the skimmer down in the shadow of a collapsed skyscraper. "Jackson, you're on watch. The rest of you, get our gear and Dr. Wong's equipment unloaded. Move fast, people. We don't know how long until the Zeraxians pick up our trail." As her team scrambled to action, Sarah took a moment to assess their situation. The sudden Zeraxian assault had forced their hand, pushing them into a desperate gambit before they were truly ready. But there was no turning back now. A soft chime from her wrist computer alerted her to an incoming transmission. Sarah's heart leaped as she recognized the encryption signature. It was from their mole inside Thoric's inner circle. The message was brief, but its implications were staggering. Thoric vulnerable. Heading to secure bunker beneath Citadel. Window of opportunity. 6 hours. Sarah's mind raced. This was it. Their one shot at taking out the alien crime lord and throwing the Zeraxian occupation into chaos. But with their original plan in shambles and resources scattered across the city, how could they possibly mount an effective assault in just 6 hours? As if in answer to her unspoken question, the ground began to rumble. Sarah tensed, fearing another Zeraxian attack. But instead, a massive tunnel-boring machine burst from the earth, its hull adorned with the logo of a long-defunct subway expansion project. The hatch opened, and a familiar face emerged. Miguel Ortiz, Sarah's old partner from her days on the force. "Heard you could use a lift." Miguel grinned, though the smile didn't quite reach his eyes. Like everyone else, he bore the haunted look of one who'd seen too much in the months since the invasion. Sarah felt a surge of hope. With Miguel's underground network, they might just have a chance of reaching Thoric's bunker undetected. "All right, change of plans," Sarah announced to her team. "We're going underground. Dr. Wong, is your countermeasure ready?" Eliza nodded grimly, holding up a canister of sickly green fluid. "As ready as it'll ever be. But Sarah, we haven't had a chance to test it thoroughly. The effects on the Zeraxians could be unpredictable." "Unpredictable is better than what we've got now," Sarah replied. "Load it up. We move in 10. As the resistance fighters piled into the tunnel borer, Sarah pulled Miguel aside. "I need you to get a message to every resistance cell you can reach. Tell them to be ready. If we manage to take out Thoric, all hell is going to break loose. That's when we need everyone to hit the Zeraxians hard. Keep them off balance, stop them from reorganizing." Miguel nodded solemnly. "Consider it done. And Sarah, good luck. Give that alien bastard one for me." The journey through the underground was tense, each rumble and vibration setting nerves on edge. Sarah used the time to brief her team on their hastily revised plan of attack. "Once we breach the bunker, our priority is locating Thoric," she explained. "Dr. Wong's countermeasure should neutralize the Zeraxians' biological advantages, but we can't count on that alone. Stay sharp, work together, and remember, failure is not an option. The fate of our entire species rests on this mission." As Sarah spoke, she saw the fear in her comrade's eyes slowly give way to steely determination. These were Earth's best, survivors, fighters, the ones who'd refused to bow to alien tyranny. Whatever the odds, she knew they'd give everything they had. The tunnel borer ground to a halt. According to their best intelligence, they were now directly beneath Thoric's secret bunker. Sarah checked her weapon one last time and turned to her team. "This is it, people. Whatever happens up there, know that it's been an honor fighting alongside each of you. Now let's go remind these alien invaders that they picked the wrong planet to mess with." With a nod to the operator, the tunnel borer's drill roared to life, chewing through the final layers of rock and metal separating them from their target. Alarms blared as they breached the bunker's outer defenses. Sarah raised her weapon, Dr. Wong's countermeasure locked and loaded. "For Earth," she cried, charging into the breach. The resistance fighters poured into Thoric's sanctum, catching the Xeraxian guards completely by surprise. Sarah's first shot found its mark, the canister of green fluid exploding against an alien's chest. The effect was immediate. The Xeraxian's skin began to bubble and slow off, its inhuman strength visibly fading. "The countermeasure works," Eliza shouted over the din of battle. "Hit them all." As the fighting intensified, Sarah caught a glimpse of a towering figure fleeing deeper into the bunker. Thoric himself. With a growl of determination, she gave chase, knowing that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The corridors of the alien bunker twisted and turned, a maze designed to confound intruders. But Sarah's fury was a compass, guiding her unerringly toward her quarry. She could hear Thoric's heavy footfalls just ahead, the alien crime lord's confident stride now faltering as the effects of the countermeasure spread through the facility's air filtration system. Sarah rounded a final corner and found herself face to face with the architect of Earth's subjugation. Thoric the Merciless towered over her, his iridescent scales dulled by the effects of Dr. Wong's creation. But even diminished, the alien radiated menace. "Foolish human," Thoric rasped, his voice like gravel. "Did you really think you could challenge the might of the Xeraxian syndicate?" Sarah raised her weapon, her aim unwavering. "We're not challenging it," she replied coldly. "We're ending it." As shots rang out in the depths of the alien bunker, the fate of two species hung in the balance. The battle for Earth had reached its tipping point. The counterattack. The air crackled with tension as Sarah Chen faced off against Thoric the Merciless. The Xeraxian crime lord's towering form filled the narrow corridor, his alien features twisted in a snarl of rage and disbelief. "You dare," Thoric hissed, his clawed hands flexing. "You dare to strike at the heart of Xeraxian power." Sarah's grip on her weapon tightened. "This ends now, Thoric. Your reign over Earth is over." With inhuman speed, Thoric lunged forward. But the effects of Dr. Wong's countermeasure were evident. His movements were sluggish, his legendary strength diminished. Sarah rolled to the side, squeezing off a burst of plasma fire that scorched the alien's scaly hide. Thoric roared in pain and fury, swiping at Sarah with razor-sharp claws. She ducked under the attack, years of close-quarters combat training kicking in. In that moment, all the pain, all the loss, all the pent-up rage of months under alien oppression fueled her every move. The two combatants traded blows in a deadly dance, the fate of two worlds hanging in the balance. Sarah felt her strength flagging, knew that even weakened, Thoric's alien physiology gave him an edge in endurance. She needed to end this quickly. Fainting left, Sarah dropped and swept Thoric's legs out from under him. The alien crime lord crashed to the ground with an earth-shaking impact. Before he could recover, Sarah was on him, her weapon pressed to the soft spot just under his jaw. "This is for my parents," Sarah growled. "This is for Earth." A blinding flash of plasma fire lit up the corridor. When the smoke cleared, Thoric, the Merciless, lay still. For a moment, Sarah stood frozen, scarcely believing it was over. Then the sounds of battle raging elsewhere in the bunker snapped her back to reality. She keyed her comm unit. "Thoric is down. I repeat, Thoric is down. All units, pressed the advantage. A ragged cheer erupted over the comm channel. Across the bunker, human resistance fighters redoubled their efforts, pushing back against the increasingly disorganized Iraqian defenders. Sarah raced back through the twisting corridors, lending her firepower wherever it was needed. By the time she reached the main chamber, the battle was all but over. Shocked Iraqian survivors were being rounded up, their once fearsome weapons clutched uselessly in trembling hands. Dr. Eliza Wong rushed up to Sarah, her eyes wild with excitement. It worked. The countermeasure exceeded all our expectations. We've effectively neutralized their biological advantages. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Good work, Doctor. But this is just the beginning. We need to capitalize on this victory before the Ziraxians can regroup. Over the next hours, Sarah coordinated with resistance cells across the globe. With Thorak dead and their forces in disarray, Ziraxian hold on Earth began to crumble. Humanity, so long beaten down, rose up with a vengeance. Reports flooded in from every corner of the planet. In Tokyo, resistance fighters seized control of the aliens' primary communication array, cutting off their ability to call for reinforcements. In Rio de Janeiro, a daring raid on a Ziraxian weapons depot armed the local population, turning the tables on their oppressors. In Cairo, a team of human scientists used captured alien tech to broadcast Dr. Wong's countermeasure formula worldwide, leaving Ziraxian forces vulnerable everywhere. But the alien invaders didn't go quietly. Bitter street-to-street fighting erupted in cities around the world. The Ziraxians, realizing their defeat was imminent, turned to scorched earth tactics, determined to leave humanity nothing but ashes. Sarah found herself racing from hotspot to hotspot, rallying human forces and coordinating attacks on key Ziraxian positions. The fate of the world hung in the balance, with victory and annihilation both within reach. As the battle for New Manhattan reached its crescendo, Sarah stood atop a makeshift command center, surveying the war-torn cityscape. Pillars of smoke rose into the sky, punctuated by the flash and thunder of ongoing skirmishes. Miguel appeared at her side, his face streaked with grime and blood. "We've got them on the run, Sarah, but their remaining forces have fallen back to Central Park. They've turned it into a fortress, and intel suggests they're preparing some kind of last-ditch superweapon." Sarah's jaw clenched. After coming so far, she couldn't let victory slip away now. "Gather everyone we've got," she ordered. "Every fighter, every scrap of captured alien tech. We're ending this, here and now." As the human forces marshaled for their final push, Sarah addressed the assembled warriors. Faces looked up at her with a mixture of hope and fear. Civilians turned soldiers, carrying the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders. "I won't lie to you," Sarah began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. "What we're about to do will be the hardest fight of our lives. The Ziraxians are cornered, desperate. They'll throw everything they have at us." She paused, looking out over the sea of determined faces. "But remember why we fight. Remember the loved ones we've lost, the homes destroyed, the futures stolen. Remember that we are the last line of defense for our entire species. And know this, no matter what happens today, you've already proven that humanity will never bow to tyranny, will never accept subjugation. We will live free or die trying." A roar went up from the crowd, a battle cry that shook the very foundations of the battered city. Sarah raised her weapon high. For Earth. As one, the army of humanity surged forward, bearing down on the Ziraxians' last stronghold. The final battle for Earth's freedom had begun. A new dawn. The battle for Central Park raged with apocalyptic fury. Human forces, armed with a patchwork of Earth weapons and captured Ziraxian technology, clashed with the desperate alien remnants in a maelstrom of fire and destruction. Sarah Chen led from the front, her voice rising above the din of combat to rally her troops. "Push forward. We've got them on the ropes." But the Ziraxians fought with the savage desperation of a cornered animal. Their superior technology, though compromised by Dr. Wong's countermeasure, still gave them a deadly edge. As Sarah's forces pressed deeper into the park, the true nature of the Xeraxians' last-ditch plan became horrifyingly clear. At the heart of their makeshift fortress stood a massive device, its surface crawling with alien glyphs and pulsing with ominous energy. Dr. Wang's voice crackled over Sarah's comm unit, panic evident in her tone. "Sarah, we've analyzed the energy readings from that device. It's a planet killer. If activated, it'll render Earth uninhabitable for millennia." Sarah's blood ran cold. Even in defeat, the Xeraxians were determined to deny humanity its victory. "Can we shut it down?" "Negative," came the grim reply. "The countdown has already begun. We have minutes at most." For a moment, despair threatened to overwhelm Sarah. Had they come so far, sacrificed so much, only to fail at the final hurdle? But as she looked around at the brave humans fighting alongside her, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Humanity had surprised her time and time again during this war. Perhaps they had one last miracle left in them. "Dr. Wang," Sarah barked into her comm, "I need options. There has to be a way to stop this thing." There was a pause, filled only by the sounds of ongoing battle. Then, "There might be a way. The device draws its power from a Xeraxian energy core. If we could overload it, we could trigger a localized implosion." Sarah finished, her mind racing. "Destroying the device without taking half the planet with it." "Exactly. But Sarah, whoever initiates the overload, they won't be able to get clear in time." The implications hung heavy in the air. Sarah closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and made her decision. "Understood. Get me the instructions. I'll handle it myself." Protests erupted over the comm channel, but Sarah silenced them with a sharp command. "This isn't up for debate. I started this fight, and I'm going to finish it." With renewed purpose, Sarah rallied her forces for one final push. They fought like people possessed, driving through the Xeraxian defenses with unstoppable momentum. As they neared the alien device, Sarah turned to Miguel. "Get our people clear. I'll take it from here." Miguel's eyes widened in realization. "Sarah, no, there has to be another way." Sarah managed a small smile. "It's okay, old friend. This is how it has to be." She clasped his shoulder. "It's been an honor serving with you." Before Miguel could protest further, Sarah was gone, sprinting towards the looming alien construct. The next few minutes were a blur of desperate action. Following Dr. Wang's instructions, Sarah interfaced with the Xeraxian systems, her fingers flying over alien controls as she initiated the overload sequence. Warning klaxons blared as the device's energy core began to destabilize. Sarah worked feverishly, knowing that one mistake could doom the entire planet. Finally, a series of alien glyphs flashed green. The overload was set. Earth was saved. But for Sarah Chen, former police captain turned resistance leader, there would be no escape. As the energy core reached critical levels, Sarah's thoughts turned to her parents, to all those who had fallen in humanity's darkest hour. "I did it," she whispered. "We won." A blinding flash of light engulfed Central Park, followed by a thunderous implosion that shook the city to its foundations. In the aftermath, as the dust settled over the ruins of the alien device, humanity emerged victorious. The Xeraxian threat was ended, their forces scattered and leaderless. But the cost had been high. Sarah Chen, the woman who had sparked the resistance and led humanity to its finest hour, was gone. In the years that followed, Earth began the long process of rebuilding. The knowledge gained from Xeraxian technology propelled human advancement at an unprecedented rate. Within a decade, humanity had taken its first steps into the stars, determined to meet the galaxy on its own terms. On the anniversary of the final battle, a monument was unveiled in the heart of the renewed Central Park. A statue of Sarah Chen stood tall, her gaze fixed on the horizon, an eternal reminder of the courage and sacrifice that had saved Earth. At the base of the statue, a simple inscription read, "To Sarah Chen, and to all who fought for Earth's freedom. May we never forget the price of liberty, nor waste the future they won for us. As the sun set on a free Earth, its light glinted off the starships rising from spaceports around the globe. Humanity, tested by fire and tempered by adversity, was ready to take its place among the stars. And somewhere, in the great beyond, Sarah Chen smiled.